In the darkness, beneath the blanket of night, a secret lurks that comes alive with every twinkle of the stars in the sky. In the town of Ashwood, where a cursed shadow draws with its mystical force, there floats a legend of a vampire who has claimed more than one soul, plunging them into the abyss of fear. Since Rebecca Blake's arrival in Ashwood, something strange began to unfold. Like all new residents, she was captivated by the beauty of this small town, but something about it seemed unknown and ominous to her. Her arrival stirred discontent among some of the locals, but she couldn't understand why. Night after night, Rebecca felt the presence of something inexplicable. Dark eyes watched her from the shadows, and a cold wind pierced her bones, as if foretelling something dreadful. But she brushed off her fears, comforting herself with the thought that it was all her imagination. However, one night, when darkness engulfed the streets and only the glow of streetlights illuminated the empty sidewalks, Rebecca heard sounds that made her heart skip a beat. Footsteps, quiet and persistent, approached her, like a shadow ready to swallow her whole. She stopped and turned around, but no one was there. All she saw were empty streets shrouded in darkness. She began to walk faster, feeling drops of sweat chilling her spine. But the footsteps followed her, the sound growing closer and closer. When she finally dared to look back, she saw him, a tall, dark man, standing in the neon light of a street lamp, his dark eyes gleaming in the darkness. "Who are you?" she whispered, feeling her voice tremble with fear. The man slowly approached her, like a nightmare she couldn't shake off. "You shouldn't have come here." Rebecca, his voice was quiet, but it carried an indescribable threat. She stepped back, trying to escape, but his hand gently stopped her. "Don't be afraid, I won't harm you. But you must leave here before it's too late." His words were filled with a mysterious warning. Rebecca shuddered, feeling terror grip every fiber of her being. She realized that this town harbored secrets she couldn't comprehend. She fled from it, but his words pierced her heart like a living blade. In the following weeks, she tried to forget what had happened, comforting herself with the thought that it was just a nightmare. But the nights grew more tense, and every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, lost in the darkness. One night, immersed in studying old documents in the local library, Rebecca felt that she was not alone. Something unseen was watching her, penetrating every corner of her consciousness. She turned around, and her heart froze with horror. Before her stood the vampire, with his dark eyes gleaming in the darkness. His face was as white as marble, and his lips were stained with blood. But in his eyes was something more than just a thirst for blood. It was a thirst for vengeance, a thirst for destruction. "You shouldn't have come here." His voice was as cold as ice, and slowly, like a predator, he approached her. Rebecca stepped back, trying to flee, but his gaze was like shackles, refusing to let her go. She realized that she had encountered something beyond her understanding, that this town held forces that defied explanation. "Who are you?" Her voice trembled with fear, but there was a hint of determination in it. "I am the shadow of this town, the cursed vampire whose thirst for vengeance will not be quenched until the last trace of humanity is gone." His words were filled with fury, and Rebecca realized that she had encountered the greatest evil that could exist. She ran, trying to save herself from this darkness, but she knew she couldn't escape her fate. That Ashwood harbored something dark and terrible within its depths, something that would awaken when its time came. And so, in the darkness of Ashwood, the vampire continued his path of vengeance, and Rebecca realized that their fates were intertwined, like threads on the loom of time.